All right, we go to halftime at the Big House. How about this one? Illinois hanging in with Michigan. Wolverines lead 7-3 after an impressive first drive. Before we go on with the football analysis and take your comments and questions during the halftime of both Michigan, Illinois, and also TCU and Baylor, we want to recognize and our condolences go out to Illinois head coach Brett Bielema, who lost his mother and decided to coach in this game. And there were some comments made by the announcers Sean McDonough and Todd Blackledge concerning his decision to do so. Believed that was the best thing for him to do, was to coach this football game. And that's what his mom would want him to do. And he struggled with that decision and finally made it. And his team has shown up for him in this first half. So let's get right to it. The biggest development of the first half is obviously with 90 seconds left in the first half, Blake Corum left the game. He was running right. He was cut down. Obviously, the issue is with his left knee, whether that was an issue and an injury that took place when he planted the left foot or whether he took the shot to the knee, and that's what resulted in the injury at whatever level of injury it is. He did leave the field on his own power, and he wasn't limping much, so that's really good news to see Blake Corum leave under his own power and also not limping much. So hopefully for just precautionary reasons, Blake Corum leaves the game. 90 seconds left in the first half. He fumbled on the play. Michigan was in prime scoring position at the Illinois 13-yard line. The play was reviewed and accurately called by review that it was a fumble because he let go of the football before he was down. Johnny Newton recovered for Illinois. So the Illini, despite a horrible first drive on both offense and defense, and the offense did nothing most of the first half, but certainly the first 3 or 4 drives for Illinois, they did nothing. They didn't get a first down until their probably 3rd or 4th drive, but gave up a big play to Blake Corum on the very first play of the game, 37-yard classic Blake Corum play designed to go left, but he saw the cutback lane. He saw the cutback lane before I saw the cutback lane on replay. Like the vision, just knowing the movement of the defense and the way the offensive line was taking everybody left, boom. His instincts took over. He saw it opening, took off to the right, 37 yards right there. Ronnie Bell's made some big catches in this ball game. We will check out Ronnie Bell's numbers because I know that he's made. There was a play right before the fumble where J.J. McCarthy showed off his arm strength and arm talent and split the zone defense. So there was a up man for Illinois, and there was some safety help, and J.J. McCarthy and Ronnie Bell were on the same page and read that gap, that hole in the coverage, and McCarthy threw a rocket. J.J. McCarthy, the last 2 games, is under 50% passing. He's only at 52% his last 3 games, 7 of 12 in the first half here. Of course, he came in to that stretch of games at 77% completion percentage. And now, again, the last 2 days, the last 2 games for J.J. McCarthy, 21 of 45 and 52% the last 3 games, 7 of 12, 98 yards. And again, that one rocket pass to Ronnie Bell, which was mighty impressive. I think J.J. McCarthy's thrown the ball well. Out of those 5 incompletions, there were a few balls that he threw downfield that were on the money, on target, but were broken up by Devin Witherspoon in particular. Had some really nice pass breakups. Exceptional Illinois cover corner who's a semifinalist for the Thorpe Award. Illinois is missing 3 corners in this game. 3 cornerbacks down for Illinois, one of the best secondaries statistically in college football. Michigan stopped Illinois on a 4th and short. Chase Brown was stuffed. Illinois tried another 4th and short down near the goal line at the 5-yard line, but they had a false start. Was it baited by the Michigan linebacker? Not technically. They reviewed it. It wasn't. Well, they didn't review it, but the officials on the field, of course, called the false start on 2 Illinois offensive linemen who jumped, and that backed it up for the field goal try for 7-3. So Michigan comes out of the gate, and they look amazing on the first drive offensively. And then it turned into an Illinois kind of football game. We'll take your comments and questions right here at the Voice of College Football. Blake Corum also with the big play on the 3rd and 2. On the 3rd and long, the screen. Illinois had Michigan backed up inside its own 5 after the punt exchange. And Blake Corum, did you see the end zone shot of J.J. McCarthy throwing that screen pass? He didn't dump it like quarterbacks typically dump off the screen. He didn't want to waste any time with the ball floating in the air. He waited for the window and he threw that ball about that far above the offensive lineman's helmet and right to Blake Corum. He took off for 40 yards, and that saved that drive. No Mike Morris. He's not playing for Michigan. He commented that with a sprained ankle, he could play, but he wants to save it for next week's opponent. How about that? All right, let's check out what all of you guys have to say here. Yes, Dylan, Blake Corum leaves the game, but again, he leaves under his own power. It appears as though he should be okay, but who knows? Who knows? Brett says far too many injuries. Sadly, they getting blown out against Ohio State. Okay, I would back off on that necessarily. Both teams injured here. James H. Blake Corum injury hurts Michigan badly. I'm very concerned. They don't stand a chance without Corum, and that's a fact. Well, it's not a fact. Of course, we have yet to see it play out. So I always love these. It's a fact. It's not a fact. Brett says missed pass interference calls. These refs need to get fired. I don't agree. I would need to see those plays. I thought that there were 2 that were semi-close but physical plays, and the defensive back was on time. Exactly, Ethan. Blake Corum walked off. He walked off. Vandy Dandy coming in live from Vanderbilt Stadium. Vandy Dandy, good to see you. We don't know what's going on with I'm curious about all the games. I try to watch them all at the same time. Don't see the score on Florida Vanderbilt right now. I've seen one play in that game. There was a bad snap by Florida. I saw that play. Oh my goodness, Michigan Nation is coming undone here. Season is over. Don't even watch the game next week. How long have you folks been watching football? This is a disaster. Oh my God. Worst case scenario. Malachi, Corum is okay. You know what? We don't know if he's okay or he's not okay. Jason Online, JJ game is on your shoulders. Season is over. Limped off the field. I would call it a slight limp. He was walking on his own power. Michigan fans aren't even going to watch next week. Okay, I know you're speaking for one Michigan fan, Captain. You're speaking for yourself. Michigan fans, I give you a whole lot more credit than that. And if you're not going to watch, for anybody who's not going to watch next week, if Blake Corum's hurt, if he doesn't play, they still have a really good football team, and hopefully Donovan Edwards can come back. Then they got CJ Stokes as well. Ohio State is beat up by multiple running backs as well. If anybody in particular doesn't watch this game, that is a Michigan fan or an Ohio State fan, then they're not a fan. They are something else. They're just an individual who watches football, I guess, when it's convenient. Ed Rogers, he should be good to go in the NFL next year. Oh, my goodness. Overreaction kicking in all over the place. Thank you, Jason Online. Michigan will be fine. Malachi, he will be back next week. Shut y'all soft, panicking, weak-minded asses up. Malachi, thank you. Thank you. My goodness. Look at this reaction. Charles Blake looked like more of a contusion or a strain. He won't be back in the second half, in my opinion. that's a pretty good guess. None of us know. I think that's a pretty good guess that, hey, take him out of the game, leave him out of the game. Let's see what this truly is. We got our diagnosis and so forth. I am going to guess the same thing. Don't necessarily think that's an opinion as much as it's a guess. But I'm right there with you, Charles. That would be my guess, that he's not going to see the field the rest of the second half, but he should be back next week. But who knows? Garrett George, of course, it had to go that way. Lean on that run game, bound to get injured. Also had to fumble the ball too. Go figure. Oh boy, Garrett's stirring some things up right there. So the the ignorant comments are being thrown back and forth, all over the place. But that's a little poking the bear. That's a little digging. That's a little trolling out of Garrett there. All right, we've got John chiming in. I think Michigan still wins this game. Well, we shall see. They're only up 4. They're completely outplaying Illinois. Melvin, JJ got to go win this one for us. It's his time because Blake is not coming back today. Most likely not. Hebrew, Blake CORUM will be fine. People need to stop getting all drama queen. Absolutely. At Rogers, 7 points. Michigan should be proud. Of course, Ohio State had a game a couple of weeks ago against Northwestern where they had no points at halftime. So I guess Ohio State was proud that week. Troy says JJ doesn't look like anything special. He's a very talented player, very talented quarterback who's running an offense that that doesn't allow him to do a lot of things. But this is the way they play football at Michigan. This is the running game. Blake CORUM, 17 carries, 103 yards, and a touchdown. CJ Stokes, 2 for 20, had the big 17-yard run, and it's been JJ with 2 carries other than that. So CJ Stokes in the second half, no Donovan Edwards. I don't know who the 4th string guy is off the top of my head. I'm sure I've heard his name. Ajax, talk me off the ledge, Mark. Well, here it is. I've been watching Ohio State, Michigan. First, Michigan's got to win this game. And there's a history in this series to a certain extent, no more than any other series, I would bet. But over the course of watching it for 45 years, that there are games against inferior opponents. 1977 comes to mind. A number 1 Michigan team lost to Minnesota, a pretty poor football team the week before Ohio State. The look ahead lost to Minnesota. Just 7 years ago, Ohio State lost against Michigan State the week before Michigan. Look ahead against a really good Michigan State team, not a playoff worthy or talented enough to play in the playoff, but they did, and they won the Big Ten championship. Ohio State look ahead in 2015, and there have been others throughout the years. So Michigan's got to win this game. They should win this game. They're controlling the game defensively. They should win the game even without Blake CORUM. And if they can't win the game without Blake CORUM, then they're not a championship caliber team anyway. But this is Michigan's Ohio State Northwestern game. So they got to survive this game. And again, they should. Their defense is dominating this game. Tommy DeVito, 11 of 14 for not much, 77 yards. So he's completing passes for nothing downfield. Chase Brown, 15 carries for 48, 9 yards is his longest run. And Isaiah Williams had a 13-yard run. So Illinois started to get some level of offense going. They've got 140 yards of total offense, so that's 280 for the game. So that's not good production. But if they can continue to hold Michigan down, then you don't want to get into a game that's similar to what we saw last year against Rutgers, when Rutgers had the ball in the red zone a couple times to possibly pull off an upset, and Michigan still held off a team that was far inferior to them. This Illinois team is better than that Rutgers team, but I still believe that this Michigan team is better than last year's Michigan team. Got Drift Boss Master all over the place, preaching Ohio, Ohio, Ohio. Mark Edwards. Well, Blake Corum is probably not going to be 100% for the Ohio State game. This turned into a disaster. Well, it's football. It's football. So anybody can get hurt on any given play. So right now, what we know is Blake Corum was limping. His knee is hurt, strained, something. It doesn't look serious, but affecting his playing ability, that's a likelihood. Travion Henderson is not healthy for Ohio State. Mayan Williams cannot play today for Ohio State. So Ohio State's two best running backs been hurt the better part of the season. Michigan now has its star running back go down. We don't know what the diagnosis is. We don't know what the result of this is going to be, but we know Donovan Edwards can't play. So both teams are really hurting at running back. Yes, he walked off the field. I don't believe it's an ACL, although there have been players that have walked with an ACL. Yeah, Randy is stating that right there. Torn ACL, there have been guys that have walked on a torn ACL. Charles says they wouldn't let him walk. So I'm not going to get into the whole diagnosis and try to play medical doctor here. We saw what we saw in regards to, and now we're just going to have to, and basically what we're going to hear going, all right, we're going to have to block this moron. And so we will do that. Okay. So my apologies to everyone who put up with this knucklehead who just spewed a bunch of crap in the chat. So we got him eliminated. Mike, absolutely. There is hope that he's going to be healthy for the game. As is stated many times, nobody's healthy at this point in the season. But yeah, if he's not anywhere close to 100%, it's better for CJ Stokes to be the running back. You need a semi-healthy running back. You know, there are certain positions that you can play with certain injuries. If you're an offensive lineman, you may have a hand issue or something like that that you can wrap. And because you're not handling the football, then, you know, there are certain positions, depending on what is asked of you, that you can play with a certain level of injury to a certain part of the body. But running back, knee, not a good match there. Whoa, Nelly college football game. Blake Corum's backup has been just as productive per carry. I wouldn't really go on that. So CJ Stokes, the guy right now, and I'm curious about this. I know nobody's going to care about this, but I want to see real quick. Florida and Vandy. Florida and Vandy. What do we have here? Vandy winning 14-6 at home. Look at that. They're starting the second half. Vandy leads Florida 14-6. Vandy broke a 26-game SEC losing streak last week against Kentucky. And also, as we direct this toward playoff talk and playoff teams, we will then drop Vandy and Florida like that and go to TCU and Baylor. Of course, they're at halftime as well. 14 all. TCU getting their yardage and points through the air. Baylor on the ground has been just steady and significant against TCU. And again, it's 14 all. So TCU playing week to week to week, and I give them all the credit in the world for accomplishing what they are with wins, but anybody can beat them. Anybody can beat them, meaning Baylor today. This would not surprise me. That's why it was practically a pick 'em by Vegas. Even Iowa State could beat TCU next week, and certainly they could blow it in the conference championship game against most likely Kansas State. Getting x-rays, yes. Something I said sparked Mark there. Speak for yourself. Buckeye Mike is in the conversation. Good to see you, Buckeye Mike, as well. Whoa, Nelly college football game believes that next week the Ohio State-Michigan game is going to turn into a passing track meet. I don't see that. Jim Harbaugh is not just going to do that. He's not going to change his whole approach. Hey, remember, the offensive line for Michigan is probably the best run blocking offensive line in the country. See, there's Blake Corum. Do you see what's going on at the game right now? They're talking about something with Brett Bielema, not real pleased with what was going on in the tunnel. We've got another tunnel issue between these teams here. But Blake Corum on the field, apparently going to play. Wow. Hey, look at all the drama and alarmists out there. Calm down. Calm down. All right. Appreciate everybody being here at the Voice of College Football. We will be here throughout the day with updates on all the major teams. Unless, of course, you're watching on the Michigan channel, then you will be here with Dre and with Desmond after the game. Again, Des and Dre after the game with Michigan post-game right here at the Voice of College Football on the Michigan channel. I will be updating games throughout the day and providing instant analysis with all of you. So we appreciate you being here again on the main channel. And give me a call tonight. We'll be on after all the primetime games, taking our calls for the call-in show. So appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for all of that. And let's kick the second half off. Michigan up 7-3. Should be interesting. Blake Corum can ride a bike. We see that, keeping that knee loose. So he should be back on the field. Everybody, calm down. It's football. We'll watch it all together and enjoy. See you in a few.